A house for $5,000 in America? This isn't 1953, and it's not a scam. It's happening right now, and it's more terrifying than you think. There are US cities where you can buy an entire house for less than a used Honda Civic. But here's what the real estate industry won't tell you. These aren't bargains. They're financial death traps disguised as opportunities. Behind every $10,000 house is a reason that will make your blood run cold. Welcome to the dark side of American real estate, where cheap prices hide deadly consequences. These aren't investment opportunities, they're warnings. Crime rates that make war zones look peaceful, infrastructure collapse that leaves you stranded, and economic devastation so complete that houses become worthless relics of dead cities. Subscribe to Housing Truths USA because what you're about to discover will shatter every assumption you have about cheap real estate. This isn't about finding deals, it's about avoiding financial suicide. Number 10, Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, where the American dream went to die and took property values with it. You can literally buy a house here for less than a year of Starbucks, but here's the brutal reality they don't mention in those Detroit comeback articles. Median home prices in some neighborhoods sit under $10,000. That's not a typo. That's economic apocalypse. The vacancy rate exceeds 20%. Meaning entire city blocks are abandoned graveyards of broken dreams. But here's where it gets terrifying. Violent crime rates hit 1,965 per 100,000 residents, 5 times the national average. You're not buying a home in Detroit. You're buying a front row seat to urban collapse. Property taxes that exceed the home's value, utility costs that bankrupt families, and infrastructure so destroyed that potholes literally swallow cars. The roads don't have potholes. They have craters that could hide bodies. Detroit doesn't want your pity or your investment. It wants to consume your life savings and leave you trapped in a city where your car gets stolen faster than your mortgage gets approved. That $8,000 house isn't a bargain. It's bait for financial predators. The so-called Detroit revival is a myth sold to desperate investors. While a few downtown blocks get gentrified, the rest of the city continues its death spiral into complete economic collapse. Number 9, Flint, Michigan. Flint, where houses cost less than the car parked outside and the water will literally poison you. This isn't just about lead pipes and government failures. This is about what happens when an entire city becomes uninhabitable, but people are too financially trapped to escape. Median home prices around $45,000, but here's what they don't tell you. That house comes with water that can cause brain damage, violent crime rates of 1,788 per 100,000 people, and an economy so destroyed that unemployment becomes a lifestyle. The water crisis isn't fixed, it's just not making headlines anymore. You're buying into a public health disaster that the government abandoned. Your affordable house comes with medical bills that will bankrupt you, insurance companies that won't cover water damage, and resale values that approach zero. Flint represents the ultimate housing trap. Prices low enough to attract desperate buyers, but living conditions so toxic they destroy lives. You're not investing in Flint, you're volunteering to become a victim of systematic municipal failure. Number 8, McAllen, Texas. McAllen, where housing is dirt cheap because you're buying into a border war zone disguised as a retirement community. Median home prices around $124,000 seem reasonable until you realize what that affordability actually costs. You're not just buying a house, you're buying into political chaos, immigration tensions, and economic instability that makes property values meaningless. The low cost of living comes with extreme heat that makes summers uninhabitable, political violence that makes neighborhoods dangerous, and infrastructure strain that leaves basic services unreliable. McAllen's affordable housing market exists because rational people won't live there. The heat alone reaches levels that kill elderly residents, while border tensions create an environment where property ownership becomes a liability rather than an asset. That cheap house comes with utility bills that exceed mortgage payments, political instability that makes long-term planning impossible, and social tensions that turn neighborhoods into battlegrounds. Number 7. Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, where you can buy houses under $50,000 and get mugged while calculating your mortgage savings. This isn't about barbecue and jazz anymore. This is about urban decay so severe that entire zip codes become no-go zones for police. In zip code 64,128, median home prices hit $43,000, but violent crime rates reach 1,700 per 100,000 people. You're not buying affordable housing. You're buying into a war zone where your property becomes a target and your life becomes a statistic. The infrastructure collapse is so complete that basic city services have essentially abandoned these neighborhoods. Your cheap house comes with broken streetlights, non-functioning sewers, and emergency response times that might as well be measured in hours. Kansas City's cheap housing isn't a market opportunity. It's a poverty trap that destroys families and communities. You buy cheap, but you pay with your safety, your sanity, and eventually your life. Number 6, Greenville, Mississippi. Greenville, where houses cost less than used jet skis and come with humidity that breeds diseases and poverty that breeds desperation. Median home prices around $81,800 hide the brutal reality of life in the Mississippi Delta. This isn't charming Southern living. This is economic devastation so complete that entire communities exist below subsistence level. Violent crime exceeds 1,200 per 100,000. Unemployment approaches Depression-era levels, and the local economy survives on agricultural poverty and casino gambling. Your cheap house comes with bugs that require military-grade pesticides, humidity that destroys everything you own, and social isolation so complete that basic services become luxuries. The nearest hospital, grocery store, or employment opportunity might be hours away. Greenville represents everything wrong with poverty tourism and real estate. You're not buying into Southern culture. You're exploiting economic desperation and contributing to community destruction. Number 5. Pere Cheney, Michigan. Pere Cheney, where land is free because it's literally cursed and uninhabitable. This isn't just a ghost town, it's a warning about what happens when communities die so completely that the land itself becomes toxic. You can buy land for under $1,000 per acre, but here's what you're actually purchasing. Isolation so complete that emergency services can't reach you. Infrastructure so destroyed that basic utilities don't exist. And a location so remote that survival becomes a daily challenge. Pere Cheney isn't cheap real estate. It's abandoned wasteland where people go to disappear. No cell service, no electricity, no water, no sewer, no roads, and no neighbors except whatever wildlife has reclaimed the area. That free land comes with the responsibility of building everything from scratch while surviving in an environment that defeated an entire community. You're not homesteading. You're volunteering for isolation that could kill you. Number 4, Moonville, Ohio. Moonville, where real estate meets horror fiction and both lose. This abandoned coal town offers land for $1,500 per acre, But you're not buying property. You're buying into complete isolation disguised as affordability. No homes, no infrastructure, no services, no community, and no support systems. Your cheap land comes with the responsibility of creating civilization from nothing while surviving in an environment so remote that help won't come when you need it. Moonville represents the ultimate real estate trap. Prices so low they seem impossible to refuse, but living conditions so harsh they destroy anyone brave enough to try. You're not pioneering. You're volunteering for a survival experiment that you'll probably lose. Number 3, Portlock, Alaska. Portlock, where land costs $1,000 per acre because the previous residents fled for their lives and never came back. This isn't just remote living. This is buying into a location so dangerous that an entire community abandoned it permanently. No population, no services, no infrastructure, no communication, and no support. Your cheap land comes with Alaska's brutal climate, complete isolation, and whatever drove away the original residents. When people flee a location and never return, that's not a real estate opportunity. That's a warning. Portlock represents the absolute extreme of cheap land pricing, areas so uninhabitable that ownership becomes meaningless. You're not buying property, you're volunteering to become the next cautionary tale. Number 2, Govan, Washington. Govan, where you can buy an entire town for less than a used car, but it comes with a murder history that makes property ownership feel like inheriting a crime scene. Population: 3 people and whatever spirits remain from the town's violent past. Median land costs under $5,000 per parcel, but you're buying into a location where multiple murders remain unsolved. Infrastructure has completely collapsed, and isolation is so complete that emergency help is impossible. Govan isn't cheap real estate. It's a place where people came to disappear, often permanently. Your affordable property comes with the knowledge that previous owners met violent ends, and their killers were never found. Number 1, Beula, Pennsylvania. Beula takes the top spot because it represents the ultimate warning about cheap land. Sometimes properties are free because they're fundamentally uninhabitable. This abandoned Welsh settlement offers land for under $500, but you're not buying real estate. You're volunteering to become part of a ghost story. No buildings, no infrastructure, no services, no community, and a history of complete settlement failure. Your free land comes with total isolation, no utilities, no support systems, and the responsibility of creating livable conditions from absolute nothing. Beula represents everything wrong with cheap land deals. Prices so low they seem impossible to refuse, but living conditions so impossible they guarantee failure. You're not buying into affordable housing. You're volunteering for a survival experiment that's already failed once. These 10 locations represent the dark truth about America's cheapest real estate. When housing costs less than a car, there's always a reason that will destroy your life. Whether it's crime that makes survival impossible, infrastructure collapse that leaves you stranded, or isolation so complete that help can't reach you. Cheap prices hide costs that no family should pay. This isn't about finding deals. It's about recognizing traps. When entire communities abandon locations, when property values approach zero, when basic services disappear, that's not opportunity, that's warning. The American real estate market's cheapest options aren't bargains. They're financial suicide disguised as affordability. Don't let desperation drive you into locations that will consume your life savings and leave you trapped in situations that could kill you. Subscribe to Housing Truths USA because we expose the truth about housing markets, including the truth that some deals are too dangerous to consider, no matter how desperate you become. When houses cost less than cars, run, don't walk, away from whatever's making them that cheap.